All right.
Ugh.
My hands on my heart. I invite you to do the same. Taking in that deep breath of love and gratitude. So grateful for this time to come together, to be the two or more who are gathered in the name and the nature of love. Grateful to breathe in that love, that healing, peaceful love into every cell, fiber, and function of our being. Allowing it to completely soak and saturate every cell of our being with that healing, peaceful love. We're grateful that we get to shine that light of love on any blocks that we have within our minds and allow them to be healed. Grateful for our dedication to doing our own healing work. We call them the Ascended Masters, our angels, archangels, and saints, all of our earthly and heavenly brothers and sisters to assist us right here and right now, in this moment, in the technology, in the body, mind, and soul of each one of us here, anyone who will listen later, and all of humanity. And we're grateful that we get to share the benefits of our own awakening awareness and expansion with everyone, because we are one with them. In grace and gratitude, we declare that it is done, and so it is. Amen. So good to see everybody. I hope every word of that prayer, Martha, went right to your shoulder. All right, well, we are in chapter 17. Forgiveness and the Holy Relationship, bringing a fantasy to truth. Anyone like to begin our sharing?
I'll start out, and I'll just say that I had that one of those experiences again, which I've had before reading the text, is that it really feels like somebody's just playing with my mind, and I brought up a lot of anger for me, and I just kept asking, why can't an enlightened being write something that's more understandable? Why does it feel like somebody feels like somebody's just playing a mind game with me to try to get this information in?
Yeah, it can feel that way. I know I've had that experience myself, that I'm just saying, why does this happen? But, oh, am I muted? Can you hear me now? All right, let's see what's going on with my audio.
Your audio went down.
Yeah, I'm hearing some background noise, but I don't know what it is.
It's not necessarily background noise. It's more like you were regular sounding, and then it sounded like you were far away.
Working on it.
Well, I'm on the phone, not the computer.
Oh, I can hear you. Is that Mary or? Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Linda.
Right, it's Linda who's having trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was Linda's voice that disappeared.
Okay, can you?
Yeah, not yours, Mary.
Okay,
Linda,
thanks for letting me know, since I don't have a visual.
So Linda, sometimes when I can't hear or I go, I just leave and I come back. Yeah. And that, I'm just suggesting, sometimes that helps.
All right, I think that's what I'm going to do if you can't hear me.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Okay.
Robin, I'm going to make you the host.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
Come back. Linda, you're coming back before you clip out.
You good,
So
Linda?
should I just call back in a while?
No, I think
No,
Linda.
you'll be here.
Deborah, we're all going to be here, and Linda's just leaving, and we're hoping that will take care of the problem.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Were you finished, Deborah, or you were waiting for Linda to respond? Let's see.
I think she did respond.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
She's back already, Deborah. She's
So
already back.
Linda,
She's fine.
yeah. So Linda, you were responding to Deborah. I can't remember if you were complete or if you want to take that back up.
Yeah, well, I was just saying that I have noticed that within myself, that feeling of when I'm reading and I can't understand it, that thought will come up, why couldn't just be written in plain English so it's easy for me to understand? And then I have to kind of laugh at myself because maybe it's easy for somebody else to understand and I'm just having a hard time with it. So, you know, where is the block within me that is resisting the understanding? If that makes any sense. Martha. Let me see if I can.
Okay, I got it.
There you go.
When I was reading this first part, and this is the thought that came to me, and I don't know if it's right, and if I totally absorbed it, but this was really complicated to understand. But I had this shoulder injury, and I run with a group of people, and every Monday they send out a text, and they say where they're running and what they're going to do, and et cetera, et cetera. So I sent back a text saying I can't run for another 6 weeks because I had rotator cuff surgery, and no one responded. So I just went into a tizzy, and I called every one of my friends, and I told them about it, and I dogged those guys that I run with, and said that they were narcissists, and you know all this other stuff, but not going to them and finding out the truth. I mean, because I thought we were all friends, and I had this resentment against them. And I was thinking, the anger I had, and it's only 4 people that I run with, you know, that I was kind of making this a special relationship because I didn't get the response that I thought they should have gave me because we've been running together for 10 years. They need to tell me, I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do for you? Are you going to be okay? And that's what I thought when I was reading this, and that how a lot of my friendships are special relationships. And in the past, my love interests were hostages. They weren't relationships. I wanted them to do everything I wanted them to do. So the last 2 readings have brought up so much stuff for me that it took me, you know, a week to even to sort everything out. So that's what I came up with me, and I don't know, it just came up for me. So that's it.
Thank you, Martha. Any of that helped, Deb?
Yeah, it helps a lot, and thanks for sharing it. It's nice to know I'm not the only one that goes through this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know one of the things that the readings brought up in me, well, specifically the last paragraph and even this sentence or 2 before, paragraphs 5 and 6, where he says, reserve not one idea aside from truth, or you establish orders of reality that must imprison you. There is no order in reality because everything there is true. Be willing then to give all you have held outside the truth to him who knows the truth, and in whom all is brought to truth. Be not concerned with anything except your willingness to have this be accomplished. He will accomplish it, not you. But forget not this. When you become disturbed and lose your peace of mind because another is attempting to solve his problems through fantasy, you are refusing to forgive yourself for just this same attempt. And you are holding both of you away from the truth and from salvation. As you forgive him, you restore to truth what was denied by both of you, and you will see forgiveness where you have given it. And the message I got from reading that was that self-forgiveness is our roadmap to salvation. Self-forgiveness. And where he was talking about earlier in the section about, you know, the levels, assigning something to be more, something to be less. And I was thinking about, I know I have been dealing with a lot of anger and sadness these last few weeks. And I know that a lot of it is being triggered by what's going on in the world, but that stuff is in me. And so I'm claiming it for my own. And I have to claim it for my own and also recognize that it's just coming up for me to recognize it and love it free. And it's no better or worse or harder or easier than anyone else's feelings of anger and sadness. I know I was holding space for a friend of mine whose cat just made its transition a couple days ago. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to a memorial service for my best friend Audrey's son who passed a year ago. And she lost her husband almost 4 years ago now. And I could see where, you know, the sadness about those things were coming up within me. And then I would like berate myself for having my own sadness. But I was comparing my sadness to their sadness. And that's not helpful to anybody. Because if I'm willing to look at my own sadness and treat my own sadness with compassion and respect and acknowledgement and appreciation, then I'm going to be a much better friend to my friend who lost her cat and my friend whose son's memorial service I'm going to tomorrow.
And thank you for bringing up the concept of self-forgiveness, because that's one thing I have a lot of work to do on, because after this stroke, I'm not able to do things that I used to be able to do, things that are quite simple, actually, and that I used to be very competent at. And now I can't do it, so it's so easy to just really just get so angry at myself over that, because, you know, I want to be able to do it in the manner that I'm used to, but I'm just not able to anymore. And I mean, it just brings up this horrible anger toward myself. I mean, and it keeps coming back because I get reminded of it every day with something that I'm not able to do.
Right. Yeah, that's completely understandable. But I've realized this on several occasions, and it comes back to me over and over again, that every single one of us deserves to be seen and heard and validated, and it's okay. It's okay to have those feelings and to express them in whatever way feels healthy to do that.
And, you know, I think this ties in, I'll bring it up anyway. I've had a lot of anxiety about this whole mask thing that's going on in our culture right now, because, I mean, people somebody came to my house the other day and she wouldn't even come inside because I guess she thinks I'm contaminated or something. I mean, I don't know. She didn't explain it, but she would not come inside my house even though I'm fine and my immune system is fine. And I know because I appear the way that I do, that I have some physical handicaps now, that people are going to look at me and assume that, you know, I'm contaminated, I'm going to give them something. And it's just really frustrating that you can't get through to them. These people aren't thinking. They're so obsessed with this. It's really pissing me off, to tell you the truth. Excuse my language, but that's the facts.
That's okay, Deborah. And I can say for myself that I wear a mask when I go out. And I appreciate when others do it, because not that I'm afraid to get sick, and not that I'm really afraid that anybody else is going to contaminate me, but I also don't want to be the person that infects anybody else that I love. Not that I have a fear of it, but I know from the information that we've been getting from China and other countries where the virus is seeming to slow down or, you know, have a downturn in cases and deaths, that's what they're doing, is they're wearing masks. And so
well, and that's okay. It's just I took this personally. I mean, this person
Yes.
came over. She said, come out on the porch and get what I'm giving you. And I said, I can't. I mean, I literally can't even walk out on my porch.
Right.
And so, you know, she tried to do that, and then she said she'd sit it inside the house. Well, I can't pick it up and take it in the thing. Anyway, I just took it real personally, like, you know, she couldn't come in here and be close to me. I mean, I sit here all day long. I'm by myself 24/7 for 4 years now. And, you know, you're alone all the time anyway, and then the person that comes over can't even come in and acknowledge you exist. I mean, this whole thing is fucked up. Excuse my language again, but it is. People need to evaluate how they're reacting to other people and the effect it's having. And they need to get over themselves a little bit.
Yeah. She could have been more compassionate and, you know, gone in there with her own mask and gloves and helped you with the one that she was trying to give to you. Yeah. I'm sorry you had that experience.
Well, and I'm sorry I used that language, but it was upsetting. I just feel like needs to be some kind of resolution to this, because it's bringing up a lot of really bad emotions.
Yeah. And sometimes that language is totally appropriate. So don't worry about that. We're all adults here. Caroline, and then I think I saw Amanda raise her hand, and then Carla.
Deborah, hi. You know, I totally understand your anger, and there's a lot of stuff coming up for everybody right now, but you know, it's kind of hard to control the way other people think or the way they're going to react to what's going on. It's really hard. You know, you just can't make someone just switch their ideas. But you can do it. You can work on yourself or whatever you have to do, and try to, I don't, not squelch the anger, but try to understand it. But yeah, I understand how it's hard. Gosh. A lot of people here where I live are like freaking out in the masks and in the gloves and you know, worried to come into people's houses. And yeah, I understand. And it's frustrating because there's so much news coming from the media and this and the newspapers, and you know, we don't know what to believe, and all, you know, these numbers that we see of who's died and how many in each country. But you know, is it really true? I mean, we see numbers, but we don't see, I don't know, actual facts in another way. And so it's frustrating. There's so much misinformation. It's hard to know what to believe. But anyways, I'm sorry about you had that experience, darn it. I'm experiencing a lot of anger and sadness because my mom is just so angry at me and I don't know why. And she thinks that I'm trying to be her boss and all this and that, you know, and I'm trying to help her, and I do so much for her, you know, and it's like, I know it's her age and she's maybe getting a little senility in there, but still, you know, the feelings come up, and I have to really, really be patient with her. And sometimes I lose it a little bit and I say something to her and it just gets her all riled up even more. And then also I'm feeling angry towards myself about things that I've done that have kind of screwed me up in certain ways. And it's just, it's kind of a hard day today. So I'm working on, you know, getting myself more in balance. It's hard, but I'm working on it. But yeah, Deborah, I understand. So anyways, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you. And, you know, part of the frustration with that whole situation that I went through was that this is not a person that you can talk to openly like we're talking. I mean, you have to, you know, just hide behind a mask and not talk and act like nothing really happened and nobody's offended. I mean, that just adds to the whole situation and makes it even worse than it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you, Carolyn and Deborah. Amanda, go ahead. And then I think Lesley too.
Hi. Okay, hi. I'm triggered right now. And so I'm gonna work through this with you guys. I'm triggered by what you said, Deborah, and I'm not mad at you or anything like that. I totally am grateful to hear your perspective. Why it triggers me is because I am like that woman. I believe in wearing the mask, you know, but I waver back and forth between what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, but I don't want to politicize it. And, you know, and there's so many, it's so confusing. Everything's so confusing because, you know, we hear like Caroline was saying, I mean, you know, there's so many different, everybody's got a different opinion depending on, you know, on what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. And, you know, things of course are slowly starting to open up and blah, blah, blah. But I have not gone into people's houses and we didn't even go into my mother-in-law's house where we have Sunday dinner until just this past Sunday, 2 days ago, for the first time. And my husband's sister was very upset with us because we were taking it too seriously. And my mother-in-law's 91. I'm sorry, but you know, as far as what we were learning about it, I go to the store all the time, you know, like I am the shopper of my household. I didn't want to add all those more germs to the possibility of my 91-year-old mother-in-law getting it. And my husband's sister was so angry at us that we wouldn't incorporate into their household and come to Sunday dinner and just have it be like normal. And I'm like, this is not normal. We're not in a normal right now. Anyway, I've had to work a lot with that, somebody being angry with me about this, about, you know, and I have my father, my dad is in my facility. And I had to clean out his whole apartment in the whole month of March, which was, you know, the beginning of it all here, give the stuff away from his apartment because then nobody wanted to go into anybody's space and blah, 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 because it was all beginning then. And I totally understood that. I mean, I had to like throw a couple pieces of furniture to the dump because I couldn't even give stuff away. In the beginning of the month, I was able to sell stuff, and then it was like, boop, nope, nobody wants to touch anybody, look at anybody, be near anybody. And so anyway, I go back and forth with all kinds of feelings about it all, but yeah, that just triggered me because it has nothing to do with anybody else, and I want to defend. And in my defense, in my defenselessness, that is where my safety lies. So I recognize that I don't want to defend myself on why I'm, feeling the way I'm feeling, but and acting the way I'm acting, because it doesn't do any good. It's just how I feel. I'm just working through, my own level of safety, and how, as we all are. But my dad, there was a down the street from my dad's facility. We're a small community where I live. It's like Eureka's 28,000, McKinleyville's 16,000. My dad's facility is in Eureka. It's, it's a very small, we're not huge. And there were hardly, until testing came along, there were hardly any deaths. So, hardly any cases. And then now all of a sudden we have like over 100 cases, and we had 3 deaths, and they all happened at a facility right up the street from my dad's, an assisted living facility right up the street from my dad's place. So that has brought some fear to me. And I think about all the people that work there, just regular people like you and me, and how vigilant are they being? You know what I mean? Because they're going in and out of the facility. I can't even go into the facility. So I wear the mask for them too. If I walk by a person, and here I am being defensive, but I don't know whether I've gotten it just from being in a store or whatever. And if I run across a person who works in the facility where my dad works, my dad would die. His immune system is so fragile, and he's got dementia, and it's terrible. I mean, anyway, the whole thing is so difficult for everyone, for every thought pattern about it, for every side of it. So I get where you're coming from, Deborah, and I'm sorry that you are experiencing that. I think everybody on every side has so much anger, and it's good for me to hear the different aspects and different ways of looking at it, because it helps me integrate and know that, remember, and then with this work, of course, like, remember that this is, I don't want to spiritually bypass anything, but because, real people are dying and whatever, but it is all an illusion to a sense. And then, and then Caroline, I hear how you feel about your mother. I went through that really strongly with my dad before I had him put into the facility. He just had such bad dementia at the point that I had to have him taken care of. I couldn't have done it by myself. And I went through so much. I was so upset that I was so upset he would get so upset with me because I was, I was taking everything over. And, I just kept thinking, I just had to really, I had to really flex my compassion muscle, because I just kept thinking about how hard that must be to have your autonomy taken away, basically.
Yes,
it's like,
I understand. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, that was really a difficult time I went through for quite a few months, going back and forth what to do. And I was like taking everything over, taking his finances over, I took away his car, basically, but I didn't do it in such a harsh way. It was like, it kind of naturally happened, but, and he wasn't super ornery, but sometimes he would get kind of ornery, where
Well,
he
yeah,
would get
that's what
really
my
upset.
mom's doing. She gets really like nasty with me, and I'm like, what? You know, and
Yeah.
and the thing is, I feel guilty and ashamed because I keep thinking, well, there's a facility
Oh,
that I know of, and I'm like, well, no, I can't do that. She's my mom, you know, and so
I
it's like
know.
going
The
back and
guilt
forth,
was horrible. The guilt was horrible. I still have the guilt. But he was like, you know, I had to unplug his stove like a year ago. So things kind of slowly started to happen a while back, because like he was like cooking things, and then the neighbors would call me, his neighbors in his
Oh
apartment
yeah,
complex, and be like, your dad's fire thing is going off. And I'd be like, oh my God. I mean,
oh no,
he would forget he was cooking on the stove, and
yeah,
it would be like super smoky when I would go over there. I mean, he could have burned the whole place down, you
yeah.
know. So it got to that point, and I was just like, okay, yeah. And I kept trying and trying to, you know, and then he forgot that he kind of forgot about the stove. And then I just started, I was okay with him doing the microwave, blah, blah, blah. We could talk about it later, you and I, Caroline,
Okay, okay.
if you felt you wanted to do that. But as far as the reading, what Linda, what Linda was saying in that last paragraph, oh my gosh, that last paragraph just really, the last couple of paragraphs, like she was saying, I mean, it was just like, you know, but to give allusions to truth is to enable truth to teach that the illusions are unreal, and thus enable you to escape from them. And then the whole thing with salvation from separation would be complete or will not be at all. Like, it's hard to like think about it. It's like so like almost like, I don't know. There's almost like a whole, like I get like upset, like Deborah was saying in the beginning, like, I'm like, what does this mean? What is this? Like, this is crazy. I can't even understand it. It's so, I totally get that way all the time, Deborah and Linda, that you guys are talking about that, where I'm like, why can't this just be written so much easier? What is this? It's so weird. But then like all of a sudden it penetrates, and like I'm like, oh, you know, that's what that is, you know. Anyway, and then in paragraph 3, where it says, when you maintain that there must be an order of difficulty in miracles, all you mean is that there are some things you would withhold from truth. That sentence stood out to me quite a bit, because it's like, yeah, I mean, you want to say, oh no, I'm going to keep taking this thing back because I can't give that thing to God, because, you know, there's no way that a miracle could happen with that, you know. But here you can have my lost piece of jewelry. I know you'll bring that back to me if I really, or something great will happen there if I give you that, because I know I believe in that. But yeah, I mean, that was really illuminating for me in a lot of ways. So that, yeah, this was a great reading. It was very difficult to understand in a lot of ways, but anyway, thank you for listening to all of that. I was triggered for a little bit there. I worked that out in my talking. Thank you for letting me do that. Okay, that's all from me.
Thank you. Lesley.
Hi, everybody. Oh, sorry, Suzanne was
No,
next.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Suzanne next. Are you sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to say I'll be short. I can certainly feel everybody that shared, including Linda, just the pain you're going through right now, and I will certainly keep this group in prayer and hold you all. And the one thing that I'm hearing from everybody, it started with Martha's share, was if we could just remember not to take it personally. Because in the 4 Agreements by, and I know you love the book, Linda, I can't think of the author's name, but that's one of his number one things. I mean, if it was impossible to take anything personal, everything everybody just said, nobody would have a problem with. But we just take it so personally. And according to that book, and I truly believe this, it's never personal. It's never personal. It's never, ever, ever personal. I mean, when your mom or your dad snaps at you when you're trying to do something nice for them, it's still not personal. It's their issue. It's their disease. And I'm not saying it's easy to not take it personal, because it is easy to take it personal. And that would totally hurt my feelings, Martha, if I'm like, oh, I hurt my shoulder and I can't run, and I've known these people for 10 years and they never even said like, oh, how can I help? But if you're, and I don't know if you're running with men or not, but if they were men, I would totally understand, because men are just like that. They're not, okay, 2 and 2. They're not as nurturing as we are. And yet it still wasn't personal, you know? And me being the direct soul that I am would probably be like, doesn't anybody care? Where's the love? You know, I would might have to call them out on it a little bit. And then the thing I wanted to say about the mask to both Deborah and Amanda, you know, I just think there's got to be a lesson in this for us, because the big thing to me is respect. I personally don't think the masks are doing much good at all, but I have one in my purse. I have one in my car. If I go out in public, I wear one. If Scott and I are walking down the street, I don't wear one. You know, I went somewhere today, it was just me and another person. He didn't have a mask on. I'm like, do I need to put my mask on? He's like, I don't care, it's up to you. So I just didn't put it on. But that being said, I don't have a 91-year-old dad that I'm concerned about. I mean, I have no problem going into somebody's house, but I'm very vigilant about washing my hands and very vigilant about not touching my face. But it's a respect thing that, you know, Deborah, like I would have just brought the stuff in for you, because I know me, I wouldn't have cared. But Amanda, if I knew, if you're my friend and I know that you're really feeling some fear right now out of respect for you, I would put the mask on. But again, you can't control somebody else's behavior. I mean, it's up to each of us to practice that self-love and to say, so-and-so, I love you, you're my friend. I'm not comfortable having you in my house without a mask on. I hope you can understand. We have to practice self-love. We can't change the other person. And I highly recommend reading that book, The 4 Agreements. So, okay, Suzanne, you're next.
Thank you. Actually, Carla was before Suzanne.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
We're talkative today. That's good.
Don Miguel Ruiz. That's who wrote The 4 Agreements. So much has been said. So much has come up for healing in many people. That's the divine alarm clock to tell you that something is coming up for healing and to love it free, right? Hold on to it, stuff it. So anyhow, there's so much that was said I could address it. So I want to go back to the reading. Is the very first line. The very first line of the reading. There's really no betrayal, but the only betrayal is to not remember who we really are, who each other, what we all really are. That's the betrayal. So the betrayal of the Son of God lies only in illusions. And all his sins are but his own imagining. That's like everybody's choice. Everybody, what we think about everybody's choice, we're all just imagining they're wrong. And and my sense is what I used to do is if I don't like someone's choice, I'll get upset and like try to make them feel guilty so they change their choice to match mine. What is that? I have to let that go. And I get it, Deborah. I seem to carry laundry up in the basement, and that seems like it may be a big thing to you, but I fall down. And I have to ask David to do, and that's great practice in self-love. Rather have him calm and wait and whatever than to fall down. And what's linked with the first one is we think we're judging. We think we're making all these choices, but all that is we're aligning with ego. Ego thinks it knows. Ego wants things to be different. Ego wants the thought system of ego. It's not really real, but it's once. I am allows. I am loves everything. We can choose whatever we choose. We choose to go in someone's house. We choose to be fearful. We choose to shoot someone. We choose to rape someone. We choose to rob. We choose love. Everything's allowed by the true self, God, whatever you want to call it, because we're one with God. Everything's allowed. There's no sin. We're just learning how our choices, how to choose love more fully. And then line 6 in the first paragraph, it says, it is impossible to convince the dreamer that this is so, that they're imagining sins. And all, there's probably a couple lines I missed, but for dreams are what they are because they're illusion of reality. Because, so what I'm saying is, I ask Spirit, why it seems so real, why the opposite seems so real, why all this illusion, the world is but illusion or whatever, only love is real. How can it seem so real? And this is what I was told. Because you, not the body self, not the Carla self, the essence that we are, the God self, is real. And we give things reality by believing them. Thoughts are just thoughts, and then we combine it with our belief, and it creates a power that seems so real. And sure, if we can't climb the steps or we can't walk outside, that's where we're at right now in this body. We're spirits having a human experience. Okay? It's just an experience. We're eternal beings. The I am of us, the real self. It's just a moment in time. This is happening. It seems like a year, 4 years, or however long it takes, but it's a dot in the story of our lives. Story, but so it's impossible to convince the dreamer that it's so, because we believe the dreams. We believe what we see is real, but only love is real. That too, the person wearing the mask, the person not coming in our house, the person, whatever they're choosing, is their attempt at choosing love. They're learning. Love the self first, and then you can extend to others. So that's what they're trying to do. However it seems, that's all they're doing. That's all everyone is doing. Fear, they think fear is self-love. Well, that's what they think. It's what they're choosing. In the way of mastery, it says, the power of choice is the one power that can never be taken away from you. I forget every day. And I want people to change their choice, but we can never take that away from them. We can never take it away. They can never take it away from us. That's why. Just look within and choose love, choose whatever peace, choose joy, whatever. No matter what's happening, but feel the feelings like you did, Amanda. Great job. feel the feelings, let them go. They're just feelings. They're just showing you something that isn't true. So don't say all the stuff, but I say it. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Your shares are always amazing. Suzanne, and then after Suzanne, Mary.
Yeah, thank you, Carla. Beautiful, beautiful. I didn't have a lot I wanted to say. I just I just wanted to say about wearing the masks and how that relates to love. I'm in Canada and I'm in Ontario, and our guidelines are very clear. Don't visit people. Don't go in their house unless you're outside. You can sit, on their lawn at this distance apart. And I wear a mask because, like Amanda, if I've been exposed and I don't know it, I'm wearing it to protect the people around me if I'm out. And I go out very little. So for me, that's a love and caring thing. And I'm very glad that we have guidelines here that say, don't go in people's houses because you might be carrying something in. We've needed a plumber for 2.5 months.
Us too. Yep.
And we've been washing the dishes in the bucket in the sink for 2.5 months, and we haven't run the dishwasher. And things are starting to ease up for us on Friday. I might let a plumber come in, but then again, I might not. But he will have to wear a mask and gloves and the whole thing, and I'll have to sanitize after he leaves. But so that's, to me, it's a loving and caring thing, because if you've been out in the world, you don't want to expose other people to what you may have been exposed to without knowing it. So that's what that is to me. And I just wanted to say about parents going into assisted living. Been there, done that with my dad, who was a grumpy old guy. And it's a difficult passage to go through. But in the end, for me, it was incredibly rewarding to have that closeness to him and work with him. So I send you energy for that. And as far as the passage is concerned, the chapter, I'm the same. I read it and I thought, what? And I thought, I need to read this 10 times. I did find, and I don't find most passages in the text this difficult, but I really did, I struggled with this one. I'm going to have to read it a few more times, but after hearing everyone here speak about it and say they were also having a problem, or maybe not a problem, but it was also resistant, it's going to be easier for me to read it and understand it now, I think. And the line that I really love in here at the beginning is, he need not be forgiven, but awakened. I think that's very beautiful. I'm going to hang on to that. His reality is forever sinless. He need not be forgiven, but awakened. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Mary, can you unmute yourself?
Yes. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Oh, now you muted yourself again.
Okay. Can you hear me this time?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Hi, Linda, and hello, group. It's really, it's so good to be here and be part of this group and to hear people share the love and support for the challenges. Yeah, so much good support in here, and I'm really grateful that this group that each person is here, and that Linda, that you take the place as the teacher here and the facilitator. It's a really, really beautiful part of my week. Some of the things that struck me about today, me relate back to start with the thread I picked up on when Lesley brought up on the 4 agreements, and to not take anything personally. Felt like a breadcrumb back home for me, thinking about dealing with pain and how do I help switch out of pain? How do I be part of this group, offering support with my love energy when I hear others share? And how do I contribute when I share? So that really felt helpful, looking at, okay, right, don't take anything personally. And then I opened up my Masterful Living journal to the willingness affirmations, because I thought when my ego gets caught up in the drama and the disappointment, that factor or that experience of I expected something or I wanted something and it didn't happen, or something I wanted to keep got taken away, that's a place where my ego comes up fighting really hard, saying, see, this is more proof, that God isn't trustworthy, that things aren't, peace isn't a real thing or a reliable thing. So the willingness affirmations, I love those for one of the bridges back into, oh wait, peace is real. This is an illusion. That first paragraph, sorry, I don't remember who was reading it. It might have been Carla. I don't remember if it was someone else. I'm sorry. I'm not remembering who it was today. But that bridge back to, wait, that's an illusion. That's an illusion. So I just wanted to share just maybe about 3 or 4 of the ones I've highlighted. I'm willing to have a healing. I'm willing to change my mind about the past. I'm willing to release my opinions. I'm willing to let God do the healing. I'm going to read just 2 more. I'm willing to release old resentments. I'm willing to have a new experience. Yes, this group is it's like a big shot of vitamin C. Coming here, hearing everybody share, it helps me get nourished and remember that, wait a minute, when I'm in my ego, that voice that says, and to hear the Holy Spirit voice, to wake up, wait, that's an illusion. I think of Carla's passion, the passion in your voice. Think of it, and think of my inner voice, my Holy Spirit saying, wait, that's an illusion. I could have peace instead. So this is so lovely to be here and be part of this. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everybody. And I'll end right there.
Thank you so much, Mary. Yeah, thank you. It just, every single one of you being here, whether you share or not each week, means so much to me. Truly an answered prayer of mine. Thank you, Martha, and then Carla.
Thank you, Linda. And I want to thank everybody, because tonight I was ready to go to the place where my friends were meeting and tell them off. But in this chapter, in paragraph 3, sentence 3, very simply, your lack of faith in the power that heals all pain arises from your wish to retain some aspects of reality for fantasy. And I was believing in fantasy before I came to this meeting, and now it's surrender. Surrender, surrender, surrender. So I want to thank everybody for getting me to that place so I don't have to make a fool out of myself. And I also had to put my mom in a home, and because she had dementia real bad, but she is so happy now. We can't even get her on the phone. She's so involved in that community. So it works. So that's all I have. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Martha.
Okay. I wanted to address as well something I had in the 6th paragraph, line, well, it starts with line 4 or 5. But forget not this, when you have become disturbed and lose your peace of mind because another is attempting to solve his problems through fantasy, you're refusing to forgive yourself. I think, did someone speak on this one before?
Yeah, but do it anyway, Carla.
So
Yes, yes, Linda did, but I also underlined that twice in my book. So yes, read it.
Twice is what I'm saying.
So this is the divine alarm clock. We believe our upsets. I've practiced that for decades, believing, and I recognize now and I slips every day, probably things that I think is valid, that have really, that should be upset. No, there's nothing to be upset about. We're taken care of. We're somehow, I don't know, somehow everything is in divine order because we are the thread. Master Weaver is weaving into the fabric of society. Now, whether we choose to be a blue thread, a red thread, or a pink thread, that's our choice in the moment, right? And so the Master Weaver weaves it in. So whatever we choose is woven into the fabric of life so that only good can come out of it. We don't see, it doesn't seem, it's not apparent sometimes because I think it depends on what we choose maybe, but only because the Master Weaver uses illusion to bring us the truth because we believe in what we see. We believe in the meaning the mind gives it. We believe in, it's all illusion. But so just recognize if you do this one thing, like in the 4 agreements, to recognize how you feel. That when you become disturbed and lose your peace of mind because another is attempting to solve his problems through fantasy, you're refusing to forgive yourself. And maybe ego. What is ego? It's the thought system that we've energized for possibly eons. The whole world is in upheaval because they all believe their thoughts. They all believe their ego mind, right? So, sure, healing is huge. Global healing is arising. We're all going to feel it because we're part of the one mind. We can't not feel it. So, notice how you feel. Feel it and let it go. Don't judge it. Just allow the healing to arise. That's what I got out of that. That's the truth I really try to focus on. Thank you.
Perfect, Carla. We began with that passage and we end with that passage. That's perfect. All right, so thank you, Phil. Next week, continuing in chapter 7, section 2 of the forgiven world. And I'm going to read from the Pathways of Light insights for my daily lesson today, which is lesson 161. Give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. In this lesson, Jesus provides an important key in the undoing of the dream. First, he helps me understand that when I see bodies, it is a projection of fear that is coming from my own mind. But he doesn't leave it at that. He shows me a way to reverse that seeing. He gives me a practice to see the Christ in my brother instead of focusing on his body. That is why the title is Give Me Your Blessing, Holy Son of God. When I see the Christ in my brother, I receive a blessing. When I see holiness in my brother, it helps me see the holiness in myself. This practice helps me undo my projections of fear. It helps me change my mind. This practice helps me open to the truth to receive heaven's blessing. Jesus reminds me that I see only what I want to see, and my body's ears only hear what I want to hear. In this lesson, Jesus is encouraging me to expand my willingness to see the Christ instead of seeing bodies. As my willingness to see the Christ expands, I will see the Christ instead of seeing bodies. I get what I focus on. Jesus reminds me that one brother is all brothers. Today, my practice is to see the Christ in everyone. It is the only reality. This is the key to the undoing of the dream. This is my key to awakening to the truth about myself and my brother. This is my way out of fear. This is the way I return to love. I am willing to accept the truth today. The practice of today's lesson shows me how. This world is a world of projection. For projection to work, it must have an object to project upon. A movie projector shows us nothing without a screen to reflect the images it projects. In the same way, if there is no object for us to project our fear and anger upon, there is no basis for the fear and anger. Thus, to the ego thought system of separation, the body is the central symbol onto which it projects fear, anger, and guilt. The ego's purpose for the body is to use it as a means to show us justification for our fear and make it seem real. It seems to work because we believe the body is real. As we practice seeing with Christ's vision, we draw our belief in the reality of the body. The reflection of projected fear and guilt fades, and the face of Christ in our brother comes forward, showing us instead his innocence and our own. The idea of not seeing ourselves instead of his innocence and our own. The idea of not seeing ourselves or anyone as a body is so central to the Course that in a later review we repeat many times a day for 20 days. I am not a body, I am free. I am still as God created me. Today's lesson is a step in moving our awareness in that direction. Holy Spirit, I ask your help and your strength to guide me to see the face of Christ in all my brothers today, so I may receive their gift, which shows me my perfect innocence. I like the part in the lesson that says, mistake not the intensity of rage projected fear must spawn. It shrieks in wrath and claws the air in frantic hope. It can reach to its maker and devour him. This explains what it feels like is happening in my mind many times. I can be fine 1 minute, but as soon as I let my mind wander with the ego, it feels like all hell breaks loose in my mind. And next thing I know, I'm back in insanity, wondering where my peace went. This lesson clearly explains how and why we react to each other the way that we do. There are no words to tell my Heavenly Father, thank you, for getting these messages of love to us. We are all on this journey together, and the dedication to these lessons are for our own sanity, our own salvation, and I would guess years of needless suffering. These lessons truly are gifts, and I am so grateful for my awareness of them. Thank you, everybody. May we be loving and compassionate with ourselves and everyone we come in contact with. Have a great week.
Thank you,
Linda.
everyone.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
for
Thank
now.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda,
Yes.
I have to work the next 2 weeks. So
Okay.
I'm going to try and get on if I can.
Okay.
But I've been off since March 23rd, so I think I better go back to work.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very. Pardon me?
You can listen and watch the replays if you like.
Yeah, I did that last time, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks. You too. See y'all soon.
Bye, Suzanne.